You're just dead weight, Nate snarled, yanking the ticket from my hand. I should have brought Maddie instead. I watched him jog towards a woman with a smug smile. By the casual swing of her blonde hair and the way she leaned into him, I knew it was Maddie Harper. I felt a calm satisfaction wash over me. Taking out my phone, I texted, Phase 1 complete. Hours earlier, at our apartment in Chicago, Nate had thrown his clothes into a suitcase, barely looking up. This trip is long overdue, Evie, he said, his tone meaning more pressure than excitement. Sure, Nate, I replied, folding his shirts neatly. I can't believe we're actually doing this. Our relationship had always been complicated. We met in graduate school. The passion was immediate and intense, but years down the line that fire had cooled to a flicker. Nate's obsession with his work, the long nights and dismissive sighs, were nails in our marital coffin. He suddenly suggested a honeymoon after 4 years of dreary anniversaries and broken promises. Why now? My gut wrangled with suspicion, but I smiled and went along. Every action I took moved the pieces of a larger plan. Are you going to pack your swimsuit, or are we sticking to the mountains? I asked, trying to keep my tone light and casual. Nate looked up, a flicker of confusion in his eyes. Mountains? Definitely. I need a break from everything, including you. Those words stung, but not unexpectedly. I'd heard worse in the past year. Nate's affair with Maddie wasn't a secret to me anymore, though he thought it was. I'd confronted him, but he dismissed me as paranoid, again and again, but actions spoke louder than accusatory words. At the airport, Nate's irritation grew palpable as we waited in the endless security line. Can you at least hurry up? He snapped, glancing at the clock. We'll miss our flight. I kept my composure, smiling politely at the TSA agent who took her sweet time checking our IDs. Nate impatiently tapped his foot, oblivious that this trip wasn't destined to be another of his getaways. We reached Gate 17, and I saw her, Maddie, in a red coat and a look of unbridled glee. Nate rushed up to her, barely a goodbye thrown my way. I watched the two chit-chatting, a hollow sense of betrayal transforming into a strategic calm. Taking out my phone, I sent the text. Then I walked, unwavering, towards the neighboring gate. Instead of Alaska, my final destination was a small cafe in O'Hare where Tim, my tech-savvy brother, awaited me. Is it done? He asked as I slid into the booth. Yes, I nodded. Tim pulled out a laptop, its screen blinking with messages. Everything's set. We've got the evidence we need. Ready for the public showdown? I sipped my coffee, steeling myself for what was to come. Absolutely. He won't know what hit him. We watched Nate and Maddie pass by, engrossed in each other. They were blissfully unaware of the storm building around them, but they'd soon feel its full force. Looking at my reflection in the cafe window, I didn't see the hurt wife. I saw the woman ready to reclaim her strength, not through tears and tantrums, but through calculated justice. I glanced back at Tim. Let's go. Time's ticking. Alaska awaits. We walked out, a journey of consequence about to unfold. The plane ticket in my bag wasn't just a trip. It was a ticket to freedom and retribution. For every deceit Nate spun, a tenacity burned in me stronger. The deceptive skies would clear, and justice would prevail. As the taxi cruised through the bustling streets of Chicago, my mind replayed the moments that led us here. From passionate beginnings to Nate's growing absences, our relationship was a shadow of what it used to be. Each anniversary skipped, every milestone ignored, chipped away at the love that once bound us. I remember the day I found out about Maddie Harper. It was a cold November evening. Nate had left his laptop open, and a message popped up. I can't wait to see you again, Maddie. My heart sank, but I read on, uncovering months of deceit. Even then, when I confronted him, he brushed it off. You're paranoid, he had said, eyes never leaving his screen. There's nothing between Maddie and me. She's just a colleague. Months later, I found a selfie of them in our car. Care to explain this? I demanded, shoving my phone in his face. He barely glanced at it. It's just a friendly picture. You're reading too much into it, Evie. Despite his dismissals, I felt the cold, hard truth in my bones. Nate Stone had checked out of our marriage a long time ago, but I wasn't going to let this slide. I needed to reclaim my dignity, and for that, Nate had to face music. The taxi pulled up to Tim's apartment. He was waiting outside, a concerned look on his face. You okay? Tim asked as I stepped out. I'm fine, I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. Let's get to work. Inside, his apartment was cluttered with tech gadgets and wires, a stark contrast to Nate's pristine office space. Tim pulled out a chair for me. "How do you want to do this?" he asked, opening his laptop. "We gather everything, texts, emails, photos, anything and everything that ties Nate to Maddie," I said. Tim nodded, fingers flying across the keyboard. "You sure about going through with this?" I stood firm. "Yes, I've let him walk all over me for too long. It's time to end this." Hours flew by as we pieced together the digital puzzle of Nate's betrayal. Every photo, every message stabbed like a knife, but they were necessary wounds. Bit by bit, the file grew thicker and my resolve stronger. "Here's the video evidence," Tim said, turning the screen towards me. It showed Nate and Maddie leaving a hotel, arms around each other. I felt a familiar sting, but pushed it aside. Good, we need more of this. Just then my phone buzzed. It was Lisa Levinson, my best friend and a fierce lawyer. "Ready to drop the hammer?" she asked. "More than ready," I said, looking across the room at Tim. "We've got enough. What's the next step?" "We gather the troops," Lisa said firmly. "It's time to loop in Nate's boss and make sure our plan is airtight." Tim's eyes met mine, a shared determination passing between us. Nate thought he could keep up his charade indefinitely, but his time was running out. Every lie, every moment of gaslighting was about to cascade into a tidal wave he couldn't escape. I looked at the assembled evidence, a sense of finality settling over me. This was it. The collapse of Nate's double life was imminent. And as the pieces snapped into place, there was no turning back. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about justice, and Nate Stone was about to get a hefty dose of it. Tim's fingers danced across the keyboard, pulling up more and more evidence against Nate. Every new piece of information was another nail in the coffin of our marriage. We had gathered enough to paint the full picture of his deceit. Now it was time to bring in my closest allies. "Lisa's on her way," Tim said, not looking up from his screen. He was so focused, every click another bullet loaded in our arsenal. Minutes later, Lisa swept into the room, her presence commanding. She dropped her bag on the table and flashed a determined smile. "Let's make sure Nate doesn't wriggle out of this." "Look at this," I said, pushing a file towards her. "Emails, texts, even photos. It's undeniable." Lisa grinned. "He's going to wish he never crossed you, Evie." "I need him to face the consequences, Lisa. Not just for me, but for every lie he's told." She nodded, setting down a stack of legal papers. "We've got grounds for a solid case. Infidelity, emotional distress, you name it." Tim's phone buzzed. "Mark's in," he said, glancing at me. "Nate's boss wants to meet us. He didn't look pleased when I told him what Nate's been up to." A surge of determination washed over me. Good, the more eyes on this, the better. Tim looked concerned for a moment. "You know this could ruin Nate professionally. Is that what you really want?" I met his gaze steadily. "He ruined our marriage. It's only fair his actions have consequences." Hours blurred by as we fine-tuned our plan. Calls were made, meetings arranged. Everything was aligning perfectly. But amidst the planning, my mind frequently drifted back to Nate's dismissive attitude. The way he brushed off my concerns, his blatant disregard for our relationship. A vivid memory resurfaced of our last anniversary. I'd set up a candlelit dinner, dressed in his favorite outfit. He'd walked in, eyes glued to his phone, muttering a quick, "Not in the mood, Evie," before retreating into his office. The sting of that moment fueled my resolve. As the sun set, we wrapped up our preparation. I turned to Lisa. "Tomorrow, we confront him in Alaska. Everything needs to be perfect." "Nate won't know what hit him," she assured. Tim nodded, packing up his laptop. "I'll be there early to set up the tech, every angle covered. And I'll handle the legal side," Lisa added. I looked between my two closest allies. "Thank you, both of you. This isn't just about Nate anymore. It's about reclaiming my life." Lisa placed a hand on my shoulder. "We've got your back, Evie. Always." The night air was crisp as I left Tim's apartment. The skyscrapers of Chicago loomed overhead, but I felt taller, more confident than ever. Nate thought he could undermine me, brush me aside. Tomorrow, that illusion would crumble. Back at my apartment, the silence was deafening. But it was a silence filled with anticipation, not loneliness. I wasn't the same Evie who had begged for Nate's attention. I was stronger, ready for whatever came next. The next morning, we headed towards the airport. My luggage was light, but my heart felt heavy with the weight of what was to come. But there was no turning back now. As I walked towards the gate, I imagined Nate's smug face turning to shock, to desperation. He'd finally understand the gravity of his actions. Alaska awaited, and so did the reckoning. I pulled out my phone one last time before boarding. "Everything set?" I texted Tim. "Locked and loaded," came the reply. I smiled, slipping the phone back into my bag. This was it. My journey to retribution and reclaiming my life had begun, and Nate Stone's world was about to come crashing down. As our plane neared Alaska, my gaze drifted out the window. The mountains below were cold and unyielding, just like my resolve. Tim had arrived earlier and was already setting up. Lisa was seated next to me, flipping through our evidence one last time. "Nervous?" she asked, eyes not leaving the papers. "Not really," I said. "I've been waiting for this moment too long to be nervous now." Arriving at our destination, Tim greeted us with a tight nod. "Everything's in place. Nate and Maddie are at their hotel, unsuspecting." The tension between Nate and me had been at an all-time high leading up to this trip. Every word exchanged was laced with animosity. Yet, he acted like this trip was a normal vacation. His capacity for deception was astounding, but his arrogance was his downfall. Nate's surprise honeymoon arrangements at first seemed perfect. Almost too perfect. A 5-star lodge, private mountain tours. He didn't realize his perception of control was a glaring mistake. I wasn't here to enjoy the sights. I was here to dismantle the facade he'd built. "Evie, you okay?" Tim's voice broke my thoughts. I nodded. "Just preparing myself." We walked into the hotel lobby, the lavish interior starkly different from the cold reality about to hit Nate. From across the room I spotted him. He was laughing with Maddie, completely oblivious to our presence. The scene would have hurt once, but now it only fueled my determination. The plan was simple: a public confrontation. Tim would handle the tech, ensuring everything was captured. Lisa had the legal documents ready. This wasn't just a personal reckoning, it was a meticulously planned exposure. Tim whispered, "All systems go, you ready?" I took a deep breath and walked towards Nate and Maddie. They were by the fireplace, Nate's arm draped possessively around her. I felt a surge of cold rage but kept my voice calm. "Nate," I called out. The sound of his name made both of them turn. His expression hardened when he saw me. "Evie? What the hell are you doing here?" "Completing our honeymoon, remember?" I replied, stepping closer. "But I think we need to clear some things up first." Maddie looked confused, then wary. "Nate, who is this?" Nate's face twisted, a mix of anger and panic. "This," he spat, "is my wife, Evie, unfortunately." I ignored the sting of his words and nodded to Tim, who began recording. "Maddie, it's time you learn the truth." Nate tried to cut me off. "Evie, don't do this here. Not now." "Oh, but now is perfect," I said, pulling out the file. "Emails, texts, photos. You've been cheating on me for months, Nate, and you need to face the consequences." Maddie's eyes widened, then narrowed at Nate. "Is this true?" Nate tried to bluster his way out. "Maddie, it's not what it looks like." "She can see exactly what it is," I retorted, tossing the photos onto the table. "You've manipulated and lied to both of us. It's over, Nate." He lunged towards me, but Lisa stepped in, placing the legal documents between us. "Time to face the music, Nate," she said, voice icy. "You'll regret this," Nate hissed, eyes darting around as if looking for an escape. "Not as much as you'll regret underestimating me," I replied. "Tim, how's our audience?" Tim held up a phone. "Nate, meet your boss. Mark's watching right now." The color drained from Nate's face. "Evie, please, don't do this." "It's already done, Nate," I said. "This is just the beginning." As the reality of the situation sank in for Nate, I felt an overwhelming sense of liberation. The mountains of Alaska loomed in the background, a fitting witness to the end of Nate's mountains of lies. This confrontation was the first step towards reclaiming my life, and I intended to savor every moment of it. Nate's face drained of color, his eyes wide with shock. He tried to form words, but nothing came out. I watched him, feeling a cold satisfaction. This was just the beginning. Tim kept recording while Lisa handed Nate a pen. "Time to face the consequences, Nate. Sign these," she commanded. Nate's hand trembled as he took the pen. Maddie stood up, confusion giving way to rage. "How could you do this, Nate? To both of us?" "Don't listen to her, Maddie. It's not what it looks like," Nate stammered, desperately trying to salvage the situation. I stepped closer, my voice steady. "Stop lying, Nate. It's over. All the evidence is right here." He glared at me, then turned to Maddie, his voice pleading. Maddie, I love you. Evie's just trying to turn you against me. Maddie's eyes welled up, betrayal written all over her face. You love me? How can I believe anything you say now? Tim's phone buzzed and he held it up. Mark's on his way here. He saw everything. You're done, Nate. Nate's shoulders slumped, the fight draining out of him. He threw the pen on the table. Fine, I'll sign. Happy now? Lisa placed the divorce papers in front of him. This is just the start, Nate. You'll also face the company's ethics committee. Nate scribbled his signature, his arrogance crumbling. Lisa collected the papers, her expression fierce. You'll regret betraying Evie. Nate glared, voice bitter. You think you've won, Evie? This isn't over. I stared him down, unflinching. It is for you. Your lies, your manipulation, they end today. Nate crumpled back into his seat, defeated. Just then, Mark walked into the cafe, flanked by a few colleagues. His face was grave, eyes fixed on Nate. We need to talk. Maddie stood up, tears streaming down her face. I can't believe you did this to me. I thought we had something real. Nate reached out to her, desperation in his eyes. Maddie, please, you have to believe me. She shook her head, backing away. No, Nate, we're done. Tim cut the feed, satisfied that everything had been captured. He turned to me, offering a supportive nod. You did it, Evie. Mark approached, a mix of disappointment and anger on his face. Nate, pack your things when we get back. You're suspended, pending investigation. The weight of his words hung in the air, sealing Nate's fate. I felt a wave of relief. The confrontation was intense, but it was necessary. Nate had to face the consequences of his actions. Walking out of the cafe with Tim and Lisa, I inhaled the crisp Alaskan air. This was the beginning of a new chapter. I wasn't entirely free yet, but the chains of my past were breaking. This is step 1, Lisa said, looking at me. Next, we finalize the divorce and move forward. I nodded, determined. I don't just want to move forward, I want to thrive. Tim smiled, wrapping an arm around me. And you will, we'll make sure of it. As we walked down the street, I felt lighter, a sense of liberation taking root. The road ahead was still long, but I was ready. With supportive friends and a renewed sense of self, I was prepared to face whatever came next. The chill of Alaska contrasted sharply with the warmth of my resolve. Nate's deceit had crumbled, and from the rubble, I would build something stronger, more resilient. For the first time in a long time, I felt truly alive. And as we headed back to Chicago, I knew one thing for certain. My story was far from over. We arrived in Alaska in the early morning, the air biting but invigorating. Our meeting point was a local eatery, a cozy place bustling with tourists. Tim and Lisa were already inside, setting up our final act. Everything's in place? I asked as I joined them at the table. Tim nodded, clicking away at his laptop. All systems go. Nate and Maddie will be here soon. Lisa glanced at her watch. Once they're here, it's showtime. I sat down, the wooden chair feeling cold against my back. I scanned the room, the diner already buzzing with the breakfast crowd. Nate's arrogance would be his undoing. He always wanted an audience, and today he'd get one. A few minutes later, Nate and Maddie walked in. They didn't see us at first, too engrossed in their conversation. Maddie's laughter was loud, carefree. It'd be the last time she looked at Nate with such trust. Ready? Tim whispered. I nodded. Let's do this. We stood up and approached their table. Nate looked up, eyes widening in surprise. Evie, what are you doing here? Public forum, public shame, Tim murmured softly, ensuring his camera was angled perfectly. Nate, I started, my voice steady. You owe Maddie and everyone here an explanation. Maddie's smile faltered, confusion wrinkling her brow. What's going on? Nate's eyes darted around, searching for an out. There was none. Evie, not here, please. Oh, here is perfect, I said, laying out the files on their table. These are your emails, texts, photos. Maddie, he's been lying to you just as he lied to me. Maddie's face turned pale as she studied the documents. Is this true? She asked Nate, her voice trembling. Nate tried to grab her hand, but she pulled away. Maddie, listen to me. This isn't what it looks like. She stood up, her chair scraping loudly on the floor. Then what is it, Nate? Explain. People in the diner were now paying attention, whispers traveling through the room. Nate's facade was crumbling. It's complicated. Not really, I interjected. You betrayed both of us, and now everyone knows. Mark walked in then, his face grave. He pushed his way to our table, eyes locked on Nate. We need to talk, he commanded. Nate's shoulders slumped, his defiance turning into desperation. Mark, you don't understand. Mark ignored him and turned to me. Evie, I saw the footage. You've done the right thing. I thanked him, feeling a rush of validation. Nate turned to Maddie, his voice a whisper. Please, forgive me. Maddie shook her head, tears streaming down her face. I was a fool to believe you. Lisa stepped forward, legal documents in hand. Nate, these are the consequences. You'll sign the divorce papers now, or we take this to court. Publicly. Nate's face contorted with rage. You can't do this. Oh, we can and we will, Lisa shot back. You played with lives, Nate. Now pay the price. Under the weight of the stares and the irrefutable evidence, Nate finally cracked. He signed the papers, his hands shaking with every stroke of the pen. It was over. He was finished. Mark gave Nate one last look of disdain. Your office will pack your things. Don't come back. As we left the eatery, the weight of years slipped off my shoulders. The chill in the air felt liberating. This was more than just revenge. It was reclaiming my life. Lisa squeezed my arm. You did it, Evie. He faced the music. Tim pulled me into a hug, and he'll never forget it. The road ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear. I was free from Nate's shadow. Alaska's cold landscape was a stark backdrop for this chapter closing, and upon returning to Chicago, I'd start anew. With Tim, Lisa, and my unyielding resolve, I was ready to face whatever came next. Nate Stone was exposed, and Evelyn Stone was reborn. Back in Chicago, I felt a strange combination of relief and exhaustion. Nate was exposed, but the aftermath had just begun. I met Lisa at her office, ready to tackle the next steps. Here are the finalized divorce papers, Lisa said, sliding them across her desk. Once he signs these, it's legally over. And if he refuses, I asked, though I knew the answer. He won't. Not after everything. He knows his position is weak, Lisa assured me, her confidence unwavering. A knock interrupted us, and Tim entered with a file folder. Got the receptionist at Nate's office to pull his work emails, more leverage. I took the folder, glancing through the contents. Perfect. We'll need all the ammunition we can get. Later that afternoon, Nate's name flashed on my phone. Reluctantly, I answered. Evie. His voice was a mix of anger and desperation. We need to talk. We have nothing left to say, I replied coldly. Sign the papers, Nate. It's over. You think you're so clever, ruining my life like this? His tone turned vicious. You'll pay for this. I felt a surge of defiance. You brought this on yourself. Accept the consequences. I hung up, meeting Lisa's approving nod. He'll crack. He always does. The next day, Nate showed up at Lisa's office, his smug demeanor replaced by desperation. He tossed the signed papers on her desk. There. Happy now? You have no one to blame but yourself, Lisa retorted, not even looking up from her desk. Get out, Nate, I said, my voice steady, and don't contact me again. He stormed out, slamming the door behind him. I felt a sense of finality. It was truly over. Lisa picked up the papers, leafing through them. With these signed, you're free, Evie. As the legalities wrapped up, I focused on rebuilding my life. I found a modern, cozy apartment downtown, a fresh start away from the ghost of Nate. Moving in, I felt a sense of self-reliance that had been missing for so long. One evening, as I unpacked, Tim and Lisa came over, bringing takeout. We sat on the floor, surrounded by half-open boxes and the scent of pad thai filling the room. Your place has potential, Tim said, slurping noodles. Like you. I smiled, feeling a warmth that had been absent for years. Thanks, Tim. It's good to start fresh. Lisa raised a glass of wine. To new beginnings. As we clinked glasses, the future felt wide open. My career picked up as well. Without Nate's constant dismissiveness, I thrived at my marketing firm, gaining recognition and respect. The emptiness that used to gnaw at me was replaced by a relentless drive. One evening, Lisa and I planned a hiking trip to the Grand Canyon, a celebration of newfound freedom. As we mapped out our route, she looked at me seriously. You've come a long way, Evie. I'm proud of you. I felt a swell of gratitude. I couldn't have done it without you both. This is just the beginning. As we toasted to our upcoming adventure, I felt truly at peace for the first time in years. Nate's shadow no longer loomed over me. The path ahead was bright and full of promise. For the final time, I allowed myself to think back to that tumultuous confrontation. Nate had been dethroned, his facade ripped away, and I had emerged stronger, more resilient. That chapter was closed, and I stepped into my new life with confidence, surrounded by the unwavering support of Tim and Lisa. In the midst of chaos, I had found my peace, and I was ready to embrace the fresh start waiting for me, to beginnings, self-respect, and finding worth beyond the past, this finding worth beyond the palate, and I was ready to live it to the fullest. Walking into my new apartment, I could finally breathe. My modern, cozy haven was a haven from the turbulence of my past. The sleek furniture and minimalistic decor were a stark contrast to the cluttered mess of my life with Nate. I rolled up my sleeves and got to unpacking the last of the boxes when my phone buzzed with a message from Lisa. "Drinks tonight? Celebrating your new life?" "Definitely," I texted back. I glanced at the clock. Just a couple more hours to sort through some lingering work emails, then I'd be ready to toast to freedom. As the evening shades crept in, I couldn't help but revel in the independence I now had. Nate was no longer a looming specter in my life. The finalization of our divorce brought more than legal liberation. It reinstated my sense of self. My brother Tim dropped by minutes before Lisa arrived. He set a bottle of wine on the counter. "How's the new place treating you?" "It's perfect," I said, genuinely smiling. "Feels like home already." "We knew you could do it, Evie." His eyes softened. "Ready to put the past behind you?" "More than ready." Lisa walked in, holding a tray of appetizers. "All right, let's get this party started." We settled in the living room, glasses in hand. The easy camaraderie between us was punctuated by laughter and plans for our upcoming hiking trip. For the first time in forever, the weight on my chest felt lifted. "So the Grand Canyon," I said, clinking my glass with Lisa's. "Think we'll make it to the bottom and back up without killing each other?" Lisa chuckled. "I'm pretty sure we've survived worse." Tim raised his glass. "To fresh starts and finding our worth." "To fresh starts," I echoed, and we all took a hearty sip. The days flew by rapidly. My marketing firm took off, thanks to the newfound focus and energy I poured into it. Each project was a step further from the shadow Nate cast on my life. The sense of accomplishment replaced the empty feeling I used to carry. The night before our hiking trip, I packed my bags meticulously, making sure I had everything needed for the adventure. Lisa dropped by to double-check her list with mine. "Everything set?" she asked, checking her own backpack. "Yep," I replied. "I can't wait to disconnect from everything for a bit." We flew out early the next morning, the flight buzzing with excited tourists. The feeling of anticipation mingled with a sense of something more profound, a true, symbolic journey into new beginnings. The Grand Canyon's vast expanse greeted us, its beauty awe-inspiring and humbling. Standing at the edge, I felt a rush of emotions. This trip wasn't just a vacation. It was a testament to my resilience. As we trekked down the well-worn paths, Lisa and I bantered to keep our spirits high. Somewhere along the trail, we paused to take everything in. The breathtaking beauty around mirrored my internal transformation. By the time we reached the bottom, the surrounding stillness offered a rare chance for reflection. We set up camp, and under the starlit sky, had a minor celebration of our own. "I never thought I'd find peace in this chaos," I admitted, glass in hand. Lisa responded without missing a beat, "To fresh starts and finding our worth." We clinked our glasses, the moment signifying more than words could express. Hiking back up the canyon, filled with camaraderie and quiet determination, I felt nothing but gratitude. The struggles, the pain, all had led to this moment of tranquility and self-assurance. As the sun set on our final night, everything seemed to fall into place. The past was behind me, and an open future awaited. With the support of true friends and a rekindled spirit, I embraced my fresh start wholeheartedly. The light breaking over the horizon of the canyon mirrored the dawn of my new life, full of potential and promise.